KCA, The Source.
96.3 FM.
Ocala's information station, 1370 WOCA.
Ocala.
All right, 5 minutes after 11 o'clock. Thank you for tuning in. Nice looking Wednesday.
It's beautiful.
See what happens if you forget what day it is, right?
Yeah, when you're having fun.
Everything I know about being a parent, I learned from my son, because without having a son, I wouldn't be a parent. And the love that a parent feels for his child or her child. And you see, I don't like to separate moms and dads. I think moms and dads love their children just as much if they're
That's
loving
right.
parents, right? I know you love your children, and everything I've learned about that love has been from that relationship. Everything I've learned about borderline personality disorder, I've learned from this book we're about to talk about. Our next guest is with a doctor, and she is the mom of a daughter she loved, and you can feel it in this book. It's a learning experience for sure. B. Tusiani is on the phone, and I hope I'm pronouncing her name correctly. She's on the phone with Dr. Frank Yeomans. Again, correct my pronunciation when we get on the air with them if I'm wrong. And B. wrote the book with her daughter Paula, and even Pamela, her daughter, who is kind of the focus of the book, who is no longer with us, is credited as one of the authors, because much of what you read in here are things that she wrote in the course of her lifetime, very young when she died. B. Tusiani is a freelance writer, has a long list of credentials. She's been published in the biggies, the New York Times and Newsday. She's the founder of the Italian Welfare League's charitable Nostri Bambini program. I love the name of that thing.
Yeah.
And Dr. Frank Yeomans is the director of training at the Personality Disorders Institute at the Weill Medical College at Cornell University. I apologize for stumbling, mispronunciations, everything. Let me just say good morning to B. Tusiani and Dr. Frank Yeomans. Good morning to both of you.
Morning.
Morning.
Where are you both right now?
New
New York City.
B, I just want to tell you that living what you lived through must have been relived when you wrote the book. And now it's being relived again when you're talking to us radio nuts about this. So I feel for you in so many different ways, but thank you for doing this. I think you're going to accomplish a goal that I think you're out to do, which is to educate us and maybe save somebody's life.
Well, a parent is a parent for life. You don't just stop being a parent because your child is no longer here.
Yeah.
Especially under circumstances like this, when such a lesson can be taught about the wrongs that happened to my daughter.
One of the things that struck me right from the beginning is that you felt like you needed professionals. And it's an irony there that the professionals are needed, but at the same time, you kind of let them take over, almost like bringing your car to a mechanic and letting him do all the work. You kind of let go of your parental instincts. Is that accurate?
Well, what happens with mental illness is, as a parent, they tell you, stand back, you can be part of the problem. And so here you are in a situation where your child needs you the most because they have a major mental breakdown. And then you're being told you can't be involved. You can't be involved with every little thing. And so you lose your power, you lose your sense of who you are and what you can do for your child. And in many instances, you start to second-guess everything that you do or say.
Yes. Doctors, does that sound like something that we need to fix in our medical community? Maybe that's the wrong message to give to parents or any loved one of a person with a mental illness.
Yeah, I do think we need to fix it. I think for a lot of psychiatric disorders, there's an old-fashioned medical model where the doctor just takes over. And these are complex conditions where family involvement is important. We're learning that, but sometimes, unfortunately, the hard way.
So when the person in question does have this borderline personality disorder and you start recognizing it, why is it so hard for the person that is afflicted with it to become well?
Well, it's a complex disorder, And it's totally mystifying to the patient and to their family. If I can describe it just a little bit, it involves emotions that are totally out of control, all over the place. Life is like an emotional roller coaster. Because of that, relationships are chaotic and stormy and full of conflict. Often the emotions lead to self-destructive behaviors like cutting oneself, overdosing, burning oneself, substance abuse, eating disorders. And in the middle of all this, there's this unclear sense of self. A person doesn't know who they are in the world. It's terribly confusing. That's why information is so important. People who have read this book say, now I see that it's a known condition. When you know it's a known condition, it helps you begin to stabilize.
And that itself is a psychiatric explanation. Why do we have to know that something is known in order to recognize it as something we can tackle? It's just, I applaud you for what you both are doing, and B, especially for the fact that, I mean, this has got to be tough for you. Tell me a little bit about Pamela. How old was she when she died?
She was 23.
23.
Yes, actually, she was being treated at various facilities for 3 years after she had her breakdown, and she was diagnosed with borderline. And even though she got a handle on the acting out behaviors like cutting and starving and overdosing, the depression continued to haunt her. So they put her on an MAOI inhibitor, which had certain food restrictions, and it interacted with the cheese and the pizza she was served for lunch one day, causing a spike in her blood pressure and a brain bleed that led to her death.
Oh, wow. Okay, so was the, and maybe, I don't know who to ask this of, so both of you please tackle this one. Is this condition something that is triggered by abuse at a younger age? Is it triggered by some kind of chemical imbalance? What is it?
You know, it's a complex condition. It's, to a large extent, genetic. People are born with a certain brain chemistry where they're particularly reactive to stimuli. They have a kind of overreactivity emotionally. And then there are, like with most psychiatric conditions, interactions with the environment that might, turn things to an even worse state. You mentioned abuse or trauma. That exists in some of the cases, but not all. But by the time the thing develops, it just overwhelms the person emotionally.
And B, you had to kind of wade your way through all the symptoms that Pamela was having to try to figure out what caused it. Am I right about that, or did you just?
Well, the thing is, once this diagnosis was made, then I realized actually what was going on in my child's head, because when she became an adolescent, I began to notice that she had feelings of ugliness and low self-esteem. She worried incessantly about what people thought of her. She was socially shy. And I was thinking, well, that's a typical stage, and she will pass through it because she sang in the shower and she did cartwheels on the lawn. But then when she started doing the impulsive behaviors, and that clearly identified the borderline aspect of it, then I realized this was going on for 15 years, a long time. I mean, 10 years. And I didn't see it, and I missed it. In school, they check their eyes, they check their ears, they check their weight, but they don't check their minds.
You know, in the beginning of the book, when you're giving some kind of a deposition or something, it seemed like they were hard on you and making it seem like you were somehow absent and therefore at fault. That was crazy, I thought.
Well, I think that's typical of what lawyers do that are trying to win a case for their, clients.
Yeah.
But you're a parent. You're going to fight for your child. You're going to say what you have to say.
Yeah.
You don't want to be the enemy. I mean, in
Absolutely.
many instances, they shut you out because it's mental illness, and you could be part of the problem.
That is so crazy. But doctor, I'm guessing that's true sometimes, right? It's hard for doctors to figure out when it's the time to say that and when it's not a good time to say that.
Yeah, that's why it's really important, if you suspect that anyone in your family has this condition, to go to a specialist. general practitioners of psychiatry really don't have a handle on this. You have to go to somebody who knows what they're dealing with, and any good initial evaluation includes not only the patient but also family members.
This subject really would have been nice to have a longer conversation. The clock just goes too quickly. This is a great book. You've done a great job. I'm sure that it was reliving everything again for you, B. It's called Remnants of a Life on Paper. I don't even think I mentioned the title of the book. Remnants of a Life on Paper. I have a copy. I'd like to give it away. It'll help somebody out there. If you know somebody who's been affected by the personality, what I call it, borderline personality disorder, this book will help. And for everybody who loves somebody, it'll help. Or it'll be something you can relate to. Do you guys want to give us a website we can go to?
Yes. Information is crucial. The best website is bpdresourcecenter.org. There's information for the public, for professionals, and it connects people to treaters.
Okay, bpdresourcecenter.org. And the book is everywhere, B?
The book is available exclusively at Amazon.com, and there's a website called remnantsofalife.com and a very active Facebook page on it. People are responding to it, and I feel like we're the little engine that could in an effort to create awareness for this.
You are the little engine that could. Thank you, B, for what you're doing. Thank you, Doctor, for what you're doing. And both of you, definitely anytime you want to come back on, you're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.
All right, we'll take a break. We'll be right back.
Habitat for Humanity of Marion County is a ministry dedicated to improving lives by providing affordable and decent housing. Help them help others by visiting the Habitat for Humanity Ocala Restore at 926 Northwest 27th Avenue. To schedule a donation, give us a call at 401-00